Ready? Let's describe the last part of the brain. So we already described first the cerebrum, then we described the cerebellum, I think that was the order, and then the diencephalon, which is about here. And now we're going to describe the fourth part. Shouldn't have wrote that. But the fourth part of the brain, which is the brainstem, and it comprises all of this. And it has three sections. In here, we can just see two of them. So I'm gonna show you my app so we can be oriented. Where's the mouse? Okay, let me grab it with this. Okie dokie. So that's the brainstem. See, this is the anterior view. Okay, the one in color, blue, purple, and pink. All of that. This is the lateral view. All of that is the brainstem. And each of the colors represent one portion of the brainstem. In blue, we can see the midbrain, which is the most superior portion of the brainstem. In purple, the pons, and in pink, the medulla oblongata. And the medulla oblongata is just continuous with the spinal cord. Okay, so let's describe in general. I'm not gonna make your lives harder in here. Just in general, what are the functions of these areas? And it will be cool if I can, thank you very much, grab my green pen. Okay, let's start with the midbrain. Well, that's the part that we cannot see. I'm sorry, I'm gonna hold this one more time to show you. Here in the midbrain, the blue part, okay, the superior portion of the brainstem, can you see these four little balls in the midbrain? This is the posterior, right? This is the posterior view. So right in there, since our four little balls in there, we call it corpora, like body, quadrigemina, like quadriceps, four things, right? Quadrigemina. So corpora quadrigemina is this area, or this area in the midbrain that consists of four colliculi. Oh, I remember now, I have another image. Let me show you. In here, not that good, but we can see in pretty colors the midbrain. I'm gonna use the green to point at the structures of the midbrain. So the midbrain is this section that consists of cerebral peduncles, that what it does is just connect the brainstem with, what is this? What is this structure that we can have here? The thalamus. Okay, see the thalamus in here. So it connects the midbrain of the brainstem with the thalamus and with the rest of the cerebrum. Not just that, but it also has in the posterior aspect the corpora quadrigemina that I just showed you in the other, in the app, in the phone app. So, sorry, it's taking me so long to do this. Okay, so this in black, you can see one and two balls, and just two because, of course, this is a sagittal view. Okay, so I can see two of them are called superior and two of them are called inferior. So I have the corpora quadrigemina consists of two superior colliculi and two inferior colliculi. What do they do? The superior colliculi, what they do, well, the four of them, is the place, is the site where some reflex arcs happen. that those reflex arcs are related strictly with the eyes in the superior colliculi and with the ear in the inferior colliculi. Easy to remember, the eyes are superior to the ears, right? So superior, inferior colliculi. Now, how do they work? The superior colliculi responds, first receives the sensory information. Remember all the elements of a reflex arc, right? So the sensory information is arriving from your eyes. So it's detecting images. Let's see that I see a bird flying, and that automatic response that you cannot control is escaped out of your conscious control. That instinct of following the bird flying, okay, or any moving object flying around, the movements, the coordination of the movements of your head, the neck, all of that happens and is integrated in the superior colliculi of the corpora quadrigemina, of the midbrain, of the brainstem, of the brain. Okay? Now, what else? Imagine that you are in a dark room. We're teaching this class in a regular classroom with the PowerPoint is on, but the room is dim. And suddenly somebody, enters the room and turns on all the lights. So automatically, all of us are going to immediately turn our face and neck either towards the source of light or towards the switch light, right? So the coordination of those movements happen in the superior colliculi. In the inferior colliculi happens, maybe you are like this, watching, to these videos, boring until I do this, and your response to that auditory stimuli that startles you and makes you turn your face and your neck and put your eyes wide open towards the source of the stimulus. Though all of the coordination of all of those movements, all of those responses happened in the inferior colliculi. Cool, right? Now, the next structure, the next portion of the brainstem, and let's put it in red, is the little belly. This little anterior belly, which is the pons, and the belly points anteriorly, right? So the pons, look at it, consists mostly on fibers, and in general, let's be happy just to know that it connects the brainstem with one structure that is right here behind the pons, which is the cerebellum. Okay, so it's the link. The brainstem is like the link between what's going on in other parts of the brain, integrates, interrelationate all of those things that are happening and going on in the cerebrum, in the cerebellum, in the actually spinal cord, and the diencephalon and brainstem. So all of these fibers are connecting all of these areas, okay? And last but not least, what color should we grab? Magenta. Magenta, to explain the beautiful, up to here, medulla oblongata. The medulla oblongata is the last, most inferior portion of the brain in general, of the brainstem, but of the brain in general. Remember, the brain is all of this, okay? And in here, in the medulla oblongata, is where the decussation or the crossover of motor information happens. Remember that I said that the right cerebral hemispheres sends motor commands, but they cross somewhere in the brainstem. That somewhere is here in the medulla oblongata. To go to the left contralateral side. Now, that's one thing that happens in here in the medulla oblongata. Also, here in the medulla oblongata, we're going to find one thing that is called the reticular formation. The reticular formation is actually called the reticular ascending activating system. It's located here in the medulla oblongata, but ascends towards the pons. So in the pons, we can see some of these centers. And what we're going to find in there are, you know, only not that important, totally overrated, but the centers of neurons that controls what keep us alive, which is respiration. The respiratory center is located right in here. The vasomotor center, the one that controls the blood pressure, is located in here. The and blood pressure and heart rate. What else? The cardiac, well, the heart rate. All of those vital centers occur here in the medulla oblongata, which is continuous to the spinal cord. Actually, if you see a transverse section of the anatomy of the medulla oblongata, it will look pretty much like the transverse section of the spinal cord. Okay, of course, all of those changes are gradual. In here also um, the centers for hiccups, sneezing, swallowing, coughing, and all of those autonomic functions that we'll describe in the last chapter of nervous system. I already described this. Decussation means crossover, when sensory information, motor information cross to the other side. And pyramids are just a specific type of neurons. Don't pay attention to that. It controls voluntary movements. So that's what we need to know about the brainstem for this course. Midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata, and the general functions of each of these sections. That's it. See you. I think we're ready to start describing the spinal cord. Let's see.